Hello, welcome to this mat workout. We're seated to start, going into a bit of spinal flexion and extension. Thinking about exhaling as you scoop the abs, and then inhale, stacking the spine, sitting nice and tall, getting those shoulders over those sitting bones. Then you can take the hands behind your head, going into a bit of lateral flexion and rotation, just through that thoracic spine. So thinking about the ribs and the shoulders, that's where you get that flexion and that twist. A couple to each side here, going down a little further each time you do it. Then the arm come above your head, and then you take it open with the twist out to the ceiling. Little flexion and a little twist, maybe 2 or 3 on one side, and then take it over to the other side, really keeping anchored through those sitting bones. And then when you've done both sides, we'll come all the way to a seated position, going into a bit of spine stretch forward. So you're rounding through your back. Inhale, lift out of it, and then fold forward, restacking your spine, coming all the way upright. Taking the spine stretch, adding that extension, you can hold on to your legs. I like to hold on to the shins or the calves here to get a little bit more straightening of your back as you hinge up and lift out of the chest. You can take the arms up to the ears, adding a little bit more length through the spine, length through those arms. Exhale as you fold forwards. Inhale, lift that chest, keep the abdominals engaged as those arms lift up to the ears, but those shoulders stay plugged down the back. We'll close our legs together now and go into a bit of seated spine twist. Those hands can be in a goalpost or out to the side. You're just rotating through your upper back, through the shoulders and the ribs, not moving the pelvis, not shifting those legs, really staying anchored down, really wringing out the waist as you rotate. And then you can take the arms out in front, come all the way down to your mat by rolling down, bone by bone. When you're there, bring your feet to the mat, hands come behind your head, going into our chest lifts. Exhale to lift, inhale to lower down. Again, just hinging through the top of the ribs, keeping that pelvis nice and neutral, nice and stable through the lower part of your body as you're just flexing through the upper abdominals. Exhaling and inhaling to lower, looking down at the navel, get that abdominal connection, keeping those shoulders plugged down your back, bringing the legs to tabletop and then going into leg changes. Option just to switch one leg and the other, or keep one foot on the floor and do single leg lifts. But the chest is lifted here and I'm moving from the hip. The knee joint is fixed. I'm not bending at the knee. I'm tapping the foot down towards the mat as I keep the pelvis nice and steady. Then the feet can come to the floor, lower the head and rest for a breath or two. You can come all the way back to tabletop now. Lift the head and the chest. Hands come back behind your head, going into the single leg stretch. Reaching those legs away. Only take them as low as you can without letting the lower back arch here. They can be up higher to the ceiling or out along the mat, but the chest stays lifted and the pelvis stays in neutral. Take the hands behind your legs, lift a little higher, get yourself set up for a second set. Reaching the legs out. This time the hand to one knee, pulling that leg towards the chest, but lifting the chest towards your knee as well. Really feel a little compression through that hip flexor as you pull the knee in, but you lift higher through the upper part of the back. Then those hands can come back behind your thighs, lifting higher still, hands behind your head for double leg stretch, just with the legs to start. Again, they go out and pull in at your angle, not too low to tip that pelvis. They can go as high as you need, reaching them to straight, and then pull the knees back over the hips. Use that exhale to pull the legs in. Inhale, they reach away from you. Exhale to come in. Hands come back behind your legs once more. Hands to the legs for the full version. Inhale, reach. Exhale, pull in. The arms go away, the legs go away, but the chest doesn't lower as those arms go overhead. Really thinking about stretching here, and then pull in, lift a little higher and lower to rest. Take a breath. You can rock those hips from side to side. Set yourself up again, back into that chest lift, and another set of the single leg stretch. Hands to one leg and pull in, reach the leg away, and then a few double leg stretch, adding the combination here of single leg stretch and the double leg stretch. And another set, single leg, reaching the legs, just a couple each way, coming back to center, and then a couple more of the double leg stretch. Inhale, reach. Exhale, pull in. Reach it away. Scoop the navel down towards your mat, but not tucking that pelvis, and then lower to rest here. Sit yourself up when you're done. Come up and over. We'll go into a little bit of our back extension. We'll lift and lower. Opposite arm, opposite leg, going into a bit of bird dog, testing out that balance here. Reaching the leg away from you as that opposite arm reaches away from you. Trying to get the leg hip height and the arm in line with your ear without dropping the head. Keeping the spine nice and neutral, keeping the spine nice and flat. You can switch it over to the other leg and the other opposite arm. Seeing which side feels a little stronger. Maybe one side is a little bit more difficult to balance. Still keep the hips and the shoulders squared off here. Everything faces that mat. When you've done on this side, you can then set yourself up to come all the way to the floor, going into some basic back extension. So you're just lifting and lowering through your upper back. Inhale, lift and extend. Exhale, lower the forehead to the floor. Keeping those legs active and then resting on the mat. You're just lifting from your upper back extensors, lifting the back of the head without sticking your chin forward. You keep looking at the floor as your hands press into your thighs, reaching those fingertips towards your knees. Inhale, reach. This time open the arms and the legs. Exhale to lower down. So you're opening like a star and then lowering down. Inhale, legs and arms lift. Arms reach out to the side and the legs open just about mat width of distance apart here. Still looking at the floor. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower down to the mat. A couple more, just to get the connection through those hamstrings and glutes. Then those hands can come in front of you. Rest your forehead on your hands as you swim your legs out. Paddling here like you're swimming in water. Pull the navel in and up to keep that pelvis nice and steady. Those legs are like flutter kicking. That's the only thing that's moving here. Legs in the hip joint and lower to rest. Now we take it into the full version. Legs lift, arms lift up to the ears, and we swim out. Paddling your arms, paddling those legs. Swimming in imaginary water here, looking down but lifting up through your upper back, lifting up through the back of the head to keep the neck nicely in line with those shoulders. Really strong, active legs here. Really try not to get the bend in the knee. Get that flutter kick from where the hamstrings and glutes meet, and then you lower down to the mat to rest. You can rock those hips from side to side. When you're ready, push yourself up. Come all the way up to a seated position. We'll go into a little bit of mermaid here. So set yourself up. Legs can be staggered or stacked on top of one another as you side bend. Come up and over, lower down to your mat, and then you've got to lift out of it to side bend over to your legs. Just side flexion here, stretching through your waist, but use your obliques to lift you up and over. not dumping down on the forearm as you lower to the mat. Really think lift out of it and then reach overhead and get a nice stretch through the side of your waist. You can spin those legs around. We'll do it on the other side. Holding onto the shin, looking down at that shin, and then lower with control. Take that side bend up and over, lift out of it, and then flex over towards your bent legs. One more here, side bending and lowering down, hinging away, and then really think lift up and over. Then we'll come all the way back to the other side. Get yourself ready for some side bending. The top leg is in front. You lift yourself up into that side plank and then side bend over. Lower those hips, keep those legs squeezed together, push yourself up and over again. Strong through that supporting shoulder. You can always come down to that bent bottom leg to support the knee on the mat if the side plank's too much of a challenge. Just maybe 4 here, 4 or 5. Really wind down and extend those legs to get a nice strong side plank before you take that bend. And then you spin the legs around. We'll do about 4 or 5 on the other side. I like to have the hand slightly further away than the shoulder, and then when you press up, the shoulder is over your wrist. But if this starts to hurt on the wrist, you can always come down to a forearm and drop it down to the knee of that underneath legs. Really squeeze your inner thighs here as you drop the hips. They hover above your mat. And then they straighten to get your side plank and side bend. Last time on this side, take that nice stretch through your waist, lower with control, and rest for a second here. Coming back to your mat, lengthen out your legs. Now we go into some spine twists. Sit nice and tall as you rotate, reaching your arms. As you twist just through the shoulders, through the thoracic spine here. Really think wringing out the waist, light on those sitting bones, pulling the belly in and up. Not twisting too much where those legs want to shift. Then you can roll it all the way back down to your mat, bone by bone. When you're on the mat, bring your legs to tabletop. Hands come a little further beside your mat to stabilize your shoulders as you go into spine twist, this time moving through the pelvis. The knees, the legs go over to one side, they come back to center. Inhale them over, exhale, pull the legs back to tabletop. Really think anchor the shoulders down, open those arms wide to give you a stable base as you're moving from the hip. The opposite hip lifts up. When you're even, come into chest lift here with those legs in tabletop and continue the spine twist, taking those legs to the right and to the left, but this time with the head and chest lifted, less stability through our upper body. So watch the range here. Maybe you don't go quite so far over to one side. Keep length through that lower back. We don't want the back to arch as those knees go from side to side. Then you can sit yourself all the way up. Come up and over. Set yourself up. Hands come down to the floor. Set yourself into plank. And we go into some front support. The knee pulls in and extends out. Really strong and active here. Pull the knee in, press away with that leg. Maybe 5 or 6 and then switch it over. Pull the knee in, extend the leg out. Strong through the upper part of your body. You can always come down to one knee here. When you're even on both sides, get yourself ready for leg pull front. We lift and lower with a straight leg. It goes straight up and straight down. Only lifting about hip height. We don't tip that pelvis and we don't sink the hips. Switching the legs now. Leg lifts and lowers with the contraction of your hamstring and glute here. Reaching your leg away. Squaring off the hips and the shoulders. Everything faces your mat. Sit it back into a child's rest pose here. Take a rest. Maybe roll out your wrists. Catch your breath. When you're ready, we'll come back up into a strong plank here. We do another set, pull in and press out. Knee pulls in, presses out. You're scooping with the abdominals to draw that knee under the hip. Press with the hamstring and glutes, switching those legs now. Pull in, push away. Nice and strong through the shoulders. Couple more on this last leg, then we switch the legs, we lift and lower. Hip extension right from where the glute and hamstring meet. The leg is straight, no bending of your knee here. Lift and lower, switching those legs up and down. Exhale, inhale, the foot taps the floor. Then it lifts just to hip height. Staying strong in your plank, sit it down, sit it back, stretch out into a child's rest pose. Roll out your wrists there, stretch through the lower back. Maybe rock those hips side to side. We're going to come all the way up, back into your plank. Once more. Get yourself ready, last set. Pull the knee in, push out, in and away. Couple more on this right leg. And then switch it to your left. Pull in, press away, in and extend. Last couple on this left side, then lift and lower your right leg, up and down it taps. Really stay strong through the pelvis, pull the belly in and up, switch the leg over. We don't want the hip to rotate as the leg lifts. It lifts and it taps behind you. Again, drop it down to the knee on this last set if you start to fatigue, but we're done with leg lifts here with our front support and leg pull front. Good work doing those 3 sets. We'll sit ourselves all the way up. Spin yourself around. Extend those legs, extend your arms and roll down to your mat all the way back to the floor. Take those arms overhead, stretch here, inhale, exhale, roll yourself all the way up to a seated position. Inhale and we'll roll back down to the mat. Inhale, lift arms, head and chest, look to your feet, pull the belly in as you roll yourself to seated. You can always bend those legs slightly here to help you with the roll up. Otherwise, those legs are pressing into the mat, really active through those glutes and hamstrings to help you with that roll up. Roll it down, keep those shoulders plugged down all the way to the mat here. We'll take our legs into a tabletop position, extend them to the ceiling. We're going into rollover prep. We just peel your pelvis off your mat here by contracting that pelvic floor, squeezing the lower abs. It's not a big hip lift here, just a little pelvic curl. Arms are beside us to steady ourselves through the shoulders. Switch your legs over and repeat that rollover prep, but with the other leg crossed in front. Stabilizing the shoulders and those hands, but you're not pushing into the mat with the arms. It's all coming from the lower abdominals to get a little bit of a rollover just through the pelvis and the lower back. Then we'll sit ourselves all the way up to a seated position. Going into rolling like a ball. So tight little ball at the front of your mat. Exhale, roll back. Inhale to come up. See if you can balance on those sitting bones. Keep those heels close to your glutes, those knees hugged into your chest. As you're just lightly holding those shins or your ankles, shoulders stay relaxed and down as you're rolling back and rolling yourself all the way up. When you've done, you can sit yourself all the way up, roll it down to the mat. We'll bring our feet to the mat. We're going into some pelvic curls, rolling into our shoulder bridge. Just a bit of articulation through our spine here. Resting the head and the arms on the mat. Really think energetic pull of those heels as you scoop that pelvis, rolling into your rolling bridge up. And exhale to roll it all the way back down to the mat. Get that pelvic curl and then the hips lift, but you still maintain that little posterior tilt of the pelvis. Don't be tempted to stick the hips up. We'll come all the way back to a seated position after that little break there. We take it into some back extension. We go into some back support, just prep version. So you're just hinging through the hips in that tabletop, like a reverse tabletop position, lifting and lowering here. Strong through the shoulders and those wrists, strong through your feet to get that lift through the center of the body, and then just tap the hips down. If you like, go into the full version now. Make sure your fingers are facing you or slightly turned out, but you lift and lower through the hips again, but staying lifted and open through the chest, really strong through those glutes and hamstrings, not to pull on the back of the knee. Take it to a bent leg version if you feel straining through the back of the knee here. Exhale to lift. Inhale, lower down. About 3 more just to finish this back support work. Think about lifting, keeping that lift as those hips hover above your mat. Reaching away. Last time here, and then you can lower those hips, take a forward fold, stretch out those legs, rotate those wrists. Come all the way up, kneeling here. We're going into a bit of side work. Let's kneel on one leg. We'll then lower our hand to the mat and we do our side kick here. So the leg comes forward and backward, moving through that hip joint, keeping the torso, the pelvis nice and steady as you move forwards and backwards. You can flex your foot, you can point the toe as the leg goes behind you, the hand behind the head or on the hip, just keeping stable through the waist here as you're side kicking forwards and backwards, and then we can tap up and down, working our outer thigh here. The leg lifts up and down in that nice side kneeling position. Hips are stacked, shoulders are stacked, finishing with a few circles. Really keep these circles tiny through that hip joint. Really pull the belly in, keep that leg hip height if you can to really work our outer thigh. And then sit yourself all the way up. Switch those legs over, extending the other leg. We come down to the floor, hand behind your head if you want to challenge, leg lifts, and then we point, kick forward, flexing your foot, point the toe, and come into that extension behind you. Really think, pull the belly deep, especially as that leg goes behind you so you don't arch that back. Think about squeezing your hamstring and glute. It's a lot of ab work and glute work. Outer thigh is working to keep your leg hip height as it sweeps forwards and backwards. Strong through that supporting shoulder, strong through the underneath side as we lift and lower your leg now. Keep the heel, the knee, the hip, the shoulder all in line as you lift and lower that top leg. And then you'll take your circles, tiny circles, and then reverse those little circles in the other direction. Then you can lower your leg, lift yourself all the way back up to kneeling, back to center. Come down to the mat. Get yourself ready for corkscrew. Legs extend, arms wide, take the legs over to the right, they sweep down and around to the left and come back to center. The shoulders are anchored down, you're just moving through the pelvis, lifting that hip, roll to each side and then come back to center. Work those obliques and only lower your legs as far as you can without letting that pelvis tip. Exhale as you make like a little semicircle with those legs. The legs are glued together, one more each way. You can look at your feet, look at your knees here, making sure they don't shift as those legs sweep down and around and then come back to center. Hug those legs into your chest, rock those hips. And then cross your feet, roll yourself all the way up to seated. We're going to come up and over, finishing off with a bit of planking work, a bit of full body work here. Set yourself up. We pull the knee in, we extend the leg up. We tap the knee towards our elbow and then with a straight leg it goes out to the side. You do it on your other leg. Pull the knee in, lift your leg up, pull the knee to that elbow and then with a straight leg tap out to that side. And then one more set with the right leg up, elbow and then tap one more side with your left knee tucks underneath you, it lifts straight behind you, it crunches into that side and then you reach it up, Stick with that version or double the tempo. Pull in, lift up, pull the knee to the elbow, tap the leg to the side, in and lift, pull the knee in and tap to the side. One more with this fast tempo. Keep strong in the shoulders. Those legs are just moving from your hips, no movement through that pelvis. Slow it down for the last one. In and lift. Pull the knee into your elbow with the crunch through the side of your waist, and then reach your leg to your side. Pull the knee in, lift the leg, stay strong in your plank, crunch into that elbow, and then reach your leg away to the side. Last one, lifting, fast tempo here, if we can manage it. Otherwise, stick with that slow version, nice and precise and controlled. Drop it down to the knees to rest here. Sit those hips back, roll out your wrists. We're going to come up to finish with some standing arm work using a theraband. You're just going to start by pulling that band apart, coming back to center. The palms are up, elbows are into your waist. You're just opening through the shoulders. You can lift and lower through your ankles here, lifting those heels, testing the balance as those hands open out wide. Really strong through your ankles, strong through the inner thighs as you do this arm work. Keep your arms fixed, hands are apart as you pedal the legs out, like you're running up and down with those legs, open out through the shoulders, then turn the palms down, reach your arms out in front of you, and then pull that band apart. Again, here, you can start to lift and lower through your ankles, lifting the heels as you pull the band apart, lowering down with control as those hands come straight in front of you. Try and keep the arms shoulder height here without the shoulders creeping up to the ears. Pull the belly in and up to lift up, and then you can run those legs out again with the arms extended, with that band pulled tight. And then the arms come above your head. We'll take it into side flexion, bend, pull that hand down towards your knee. That band can go behind your head. You're just side flexing here. Keep stable through the hips. Don't let the hips shift to one side as you do your side bend. Pull strong on that arm as the hand comes down towards your thigh. The other arm is reaching up to the ceiling. Keep tension on that theraband as you pull it apart, taking that side bend. Maybe one more each way, to the right and to the left. Then let's finish with some tricep work. Band comes behind you and you just straighten and bend the top arm while keeping a grip, keeping nice tight tension on that band. One hand is behind your back and the other hand is behind the head, just straightening and bending here. Work that tricep, keep the shoulders plugged down. Then you can switch those arms over. Again, as much tension as you need on that band to get that resistance as you straighten your arm overhead. Get the work in the back of the arm, that tricep extension. Really think strong wrist here as well though. That lower arm can come behind your back or up further around your rib cage if you need less resistance. And then lower your arms down, roll out those shoulders. You can drop that theraband. We're going to just do some roll down, standing at the edge of your mat, rolling down to the floor as you exhale, dropping the head, rounding the back. Maybe just bend and straighten your legs here, pedal the feet out and roll yourself all the way up to standing. Float those arms up and we go again, up and over an imaginary ball. Hollow out your belly as you fold to the floor. Bending and straightening the legs here. Let the head be heavy and the shoulders be heavy. Then you'll squeeze your glutes as you roll yourself all the way up to standing. Arms go overhead and tuck that chin, rounding through your back, peeling away from an imaginary wall as you fold forward. Soft bend in the knees, relaxing through those hips. Scoop the abs in as you restack your spine all the way up to standing. And we are done.